Reb Chaim of Tzantz used to tell the tale. There was once a man wandering in the forest, lost and alone for several days, until he encountered another. "My brother, my friend, show me the way out." The man replied, "I can only tell you this. The ways I have tried lead nowhere. They've led me astray. But take my hand and let us look for the way together." And so searching for the road home, knowing they could not get there alone, strengthened by their meeting, they continued together forward. So it is with us, Reb Chaim would say. When we go alone and apart our own separate way, we can easily be led astray. Which is why we say this Shabbos morning, join us with full intention and open hearts. If you're with us on live stream, keep focused in by turning off your cell phones or putting them on silent. Join in with us as Evan leads us in worship, as he shares his Torah truths. Join us as we take time out from our hectic lives to focus in on this moment of joy with meditation, song, and spirit. When we leave this place, knowing we've gone through this journey together, we know we're not lost. And so even at this still unusual time in our world, we can still share in joy, in simcha together. Joining in heart and spirit, let's look for that way and find that way home together. And so we begin on page 78 in our Sidurim, our prayer books, praising God for the gift of body and soul. Elohai neshama shanatata bi tahorahi. My God, the soul you have given me is pure. Elohai, Elohai, neshama shanatata bi tahorahi. Elohai, Elohai, neshama shanatata bihi tahorahi. Ata verata, ata yitzarta, ata nefachta bi. Ve'ata meshamra b'kirbi. Elohai, Elohai, neshama shenatata bihi tahorahi.
We continue now on page 88, reading together, Elu Devarim She'ein Lahem Shi'or. These are the things that we learn together. These are the things that are limitless, of which a person enjoys the fruit of the world, while the principle remains in the world to come. They are honoring one's father and mother, engaging in deeds of compassion, arriving early for study, morning and evening, dealing graciously with guests, visiting the sick, providing for the wedding couple, accompanying the dead for burial, being devoted in prayer, and making peace among people. But the study of Torah encompasses them all. We continue with Chatzi Kaddish on page 106 as we rise and remain standing through Shema.
Yitkadal v'yitkadash meraba, Amen. V'yamad yivrach kirutei v'yamplich malchutei, v'chayachon v'yamechon v'chayei l'chol beit Yisrael, v'hagala u'vizman karim v'yimeru, Amen. Yesh meraba mevarach le'olam u'le'maya, Yitbarach, Yitbarach v'yishtamach, V'yitba'ar v'yitramah v'yitnaseh, V'yitzadar v'yitzaleh v'yitzalal, Shemei l'kudesha b'richu, Le'ela min kol berchata v'shirata, Tushbechata v'nechemata, Damira me'alema, V'yimeru, Amen.
As we turn to page 108 for the Baruch Hu, it is my pleasure to call forward our Bar Mitzvah, Evan Bjorn Flom, to lead us in the next section of our worship.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed. We continue on page 110. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Yotzer Or Vorei Chochshet Say Shalom Uvorei Et HaKol Hameir La'aretz V'Ladarim Aleya Rachamim Uvo V'Chadesh B'chol Yom Tamid Ma'aseh V'Rei Ma'arabu Ma'asecha Adonai Lam B'Chochma Aseh Maleya Haaretz Kinyanecha Yitbarach Adonai Eloheinu Al Shevach Ma'aseh Yadecha Ve'al Me'orei Or She'asta Ba'arucha Tela Or Chadash Al Tion Ta'ir V'Nizkeh Chulanu Mehera Le'oro Baruch Atah Adonai Yotzer HaMe'or. Continue in the middle of page 130. Love your neighbor as yourself. Dead and light-blinded you saw, that inner and outer worlds are one, as you are. Spoken we wrote down the sea, where light moved breath. Climbed, fell back, Sinai of Baruch Atah Adonai Abocher Ba'amo Yisrael Ba'ahava. Continue on page 114. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. Please be seated. We continue together on page 116. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha v'chol vavcha v'chol nafshecha v'chol meodecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi metavecha hayom olavavech v'shinantan levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'veitecha uvlechtecha v'derech uv'shuchvecha uv'kumecha Shartam leot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot b'neinecha uchtavtam dod beitecha uvisharecha leman tiskeru va'asitem et komitai v'tem kedoshim Elohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher huteitem me'eret mitzrayim Heyot lachem l'kim ani Adonai Elohechem. We continue on the top of page 121. Emet, there is no place where you are not, and in the wilderness there is your word. Emet, the pen strokes of lightning, white fire, black, stirs the soul's passion, guide our sacred. True and enduring is Torah. Truth for us is certain and is now and forevermore. Like Moses, Miriam, and all Israel, sing out and read.
שיבחו גאולים לשמך על שפת הים יחד כולם הודו והמליכו ואמרו אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. צור ישראל Kuma Bezrat Yisrael, Ufedechinu Mecha, Yehuda veYisrael. Go Aleinu, Adonai Tzvaot Shemo, Kedosh Yisrael. Baruch Ata Adonai, Ga Yisrael.
We continue with the chanting of the Amidah on page 124. Please rise. Adonai Sefatai Tiftach Ufi Yagi Tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu ve'Elohei Avotinu ve'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor ve'Hanura, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovin, Bekone Hakol, Bezocher Chasdei Avot ve'Imahot, Mevi Geula Livnei V'neihem, Eman Shemo be'Ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Mak, Baruch Atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'Ezrat Sarah. Atagi Bor Le'olam Adonai, Machayeh HaKol Atarav Lehoshia. Morid Hatav, Mechokel Chaim Bechesed, Mechaye Hakol Berachamim Rab, Tomech Noflim Verofeh Cholim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayem Emunato, Lishenei Afar, Michamocha Ba'al Gevurot, Umido Melach, Melech Memid, Umechayeh, Umatzimiach Yeshua, B'nei Amanata Lechachayot, Baruch Atah Adonai, Mechayeh HaKol. Nekades et Simcha Ba'olam, Keshem Shem Makdishim, O Tobish Memaram, Kakatuv O Yad Nevi Echa, Vekara Ze'el Ze Ve'amar, Kadosh, 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 Adonai Tsevaot, Melech Haaretz, Kevodo, Adir Adirenu, Adonai Adoninu, Ma'adir Shimcha B'chol Haaretz, Baruch Kevod Adonai, Mimkomo, Echad Hu Eloheinu, Hu Avinu, Hu Malkeinu, Hu Moshienu, Hu Yashmienu, Berachamav le'enikochai, Ani Adonai Elohechem, Yimluch Adonai le'olam, Elohai Zion, Ledor Vador, Hallelujah. Ledor Vador Nagid God Lecha, Ulenetza Netzachid, Kedushatcha Nahakish, Beshivchacha Eloheinu, Mipinu Lo Yamush Le'olam, Et Baruch Atah Adonai Ha'el HaKadosh. Please be seated. Please join in singing Yismechu on page 132. We praise God for the gift of Shabbat.
Yismechu v'malchutecha, Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat, V'chorei honeg Shabbat. Yismechu v'malchutecha, Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat, V'chorei honeg Shabbat. Mekadeshei Shvi Shabbat, Kulam Yisbehu, V'yitangu Mituvacha Shabbat. Yismechu v'malachotecha, Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat, V'chorei honeg Shabbat. Yismechu v'malachotecha, Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat, Korei honeg Shabbat. V'hashvi ratzita bo v'kidashto Shabbat. Chemdat yamim otokrata, zecher lema'aseh v'reishit Shabbat. Yismechu v'malachotecha, Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat, V'chorei honeg Shabbat. Yismechu v'malachotecha, Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat, V'chorei honeg Shabbat.
We continue in the middle of page 137. On this holy Shabbat, may we draw nearer to life and to joy. May we find true rest, holiness in our deeds, worth in our study of Torah. Let us feed on the love of goodness. Let us drink from the love of goodness. Burn our thirst from excess, and cleanse our hearts, serve life. On this holy Shabbat, may we draw near life and Baruch atah Adonai, le'otcha levarcha yirah na'av. We acknowledge with thanks that you are Adonai, our God and the God of our ancestors forever. You are the rock of our lives, the shield of our salvation. Let us thank you and praise you for our lives which are in your hand, for our souls which are in your care, for your miracles that we experience every day, for your wondrous deeds every time of evening, morning, and noon. Us good one, never end. Passion, kindness. We forever put our hope. For all these things, O Sovereign, let your name be forever praised and blessed, O God, our Redeemer and Helper. Let all live who affirm you. Praise. Blessed are you, Adonai. Your name is Baruch atah Adonai, Hotev Shemcha Lecha Na'eh.
Sim, 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 shalom, sim, 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 shalom, sim, 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 shalom, tova uveracha. Sim, 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 shalom, sim, 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 shalom, sim, 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 shalom, tova uveracha. Yeah, la 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 la. Yeah, la 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 la. Yeah, la 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 la. Yeah, la la, yeah, la 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 la. Sim, 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 shalom, sim, 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 shalom, sim, 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 shalom, tova uveracha.
Together, grant peace, goodness, and blessing, grace, kindness, and to us and to all your people, Israel. Bless us, our Creator, all of us together, to the light of your presence, truly to the light of the present. Adonai, our God, give us a Torah of life, love of kindness, justice, and blessing, mercy, life. May you see fit to bless your people, Israel, at all times, at every hour. Praised are you, Adonai, O Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, hamevech et Bash.
Having prayed for peace in our world, we think of those who face the future not fully whole, those who are in need of healing of mind, of body, and of spirit. We think of them and whisper their names aloud now. We join together in our blessing for peace and our blessing for health. Misha Berach is on page 253.
Berach Avotenu Mekor HaBracha Lahim Avotenu. May the source of strength will bless the ones before us. Help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Mishaberach Imotenu V'kor HaBracha
Amen. Take a moment now for our own silent prayer.
Say shalom bimromav. Uya se shalom aleinu. Ve'al kol Yisrael. Ve'imru. Imru. Amen. Ya'aseh shalom. Ya'aseh shalom. Shalom aleinu. Ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom. Ya'aseh shalom. Shalom aleinu. Ve'al kol Yisrael.
As we prepare to open the ark and take out our sacred scroll, our Seder Kriyat Torah, our service for the reading of Torah, on page 245. Assemble the people, men, women, and children, and the strangers in your cities, to hear, to learn, to revere Adonai your God, to observe faithfully the words of this Torah, and let their children who do not yet know it hear, that they too may learn to revere Adonai your God. Now, as we prepare to open the ark and take out our sacred scroll, I call upon the generations of Evan's family to join us in front of the ark, to stand in the chain of tradition. I call up Evan and his mother Allison, and in loving memory, his grandparents Milton Leo and Barbara Flom. And I invite Mickey, his brother, to open our ark. I ask all of you to please rise.
Ein kamocha b'Elohim Adonai, ve'en k'ma'asecha. Malchutcha malchut kol ha'olamim, u'memshaltecha b'chol dor v'dor. Adonai melech, Adonai melech, Adonai yimlach le'olam va'ed. Adonai hos le'amo yitain, Adonai yivarech et amo b'shalom. Evan. At Mount Sinai, God gave the gift of Torah to the people of Israel as a gift of love. Moses, in his time, passed Torah down to Joshua, who passed Torah down to the elders. The elders passed Torah down to the prophets, who spent their lives calling out the teachings of justice and mercy that were in these ancient texts for all to hear. The prophets passed Torah down to the Anshe Knesset HaGadolah, the men of the Great Assembly, and they passed Torah down to the rabbis. The rabbis spent their lives stepping to inside these ancient words, this text, its meaning, to find modern meaning in their own day and share it with those around them so that they too could find inspiration and meaning in those ancient words. And that tradition enables us to stand here with you today, with your mother, with the generations of your family here in spirit, on live stream, you wearing that same talit that your mom wore at her bat mitzvah, that your grandfather wore at his, knowing that the generations are here with you in spirit, passing Torah down to you as well. And just as God gave the gift of Torah to the people of Israel with a gift of love and expectation for the future, so too does your mother stand here with you today and pass Torah down to you, with the hope that someday you too will stand in front of a congregation, maybe this one, and pass Torah down to those who come after you. And so Torah goes midor lador, from generation to generation.
This scroll is the secret of our life, people's life, Sinai until now. His love, justice, and its gift to all who
Baruch Shenatan Torah Torah. Baruch Shenatan Torah Torah. L'amo Yisrael v'kedushato. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo, Gadol Adonai iti, U'neromim Shemo yachtav. Lecha Adonai hagdula, v'gvura, v'tiferet, v'hanetzach v'hahod. Ki chov hashamayim u'va'aretz, ki chov hashamayim u'va'aretz. Lecha Adonai hamamlacha, yamini na'aseh lechol erosh. Yismechu hashamayim, Yismechu hashamayim, Yismechu hashamayim, V'tageh haaretz. Yismechu hashamayim, Yismechu hashamayim, Yitzmechu hashamayim, v'tageh haaretz. Yehiram hayam, Yehiram hayam, Yehiram hayam u'melaho. 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 You may be seated. Just needed to resolve that chord. So. Well, this week's Torah portion is Bamidbar, the first parsha in the third book of the fourth book of Torah. Excuse me. Evan will be reading a selection of Parshat Emor from the book of Leviticus, which was the Torah portion assigned to his original bar mitzvah date, postponed obviously because of the COVID-19 pandemic. In Parshat Emor, Moses presents the laws regulating the lives of priests who presided over the sanctuary and its sacrifices. Mention is made of the donations and offerings that are acceptable for the sanctuary. And Moses speaks to all the people about the holy days, including the Sabbath, Passover, Shavuot, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, and Sukkot. The portion concludes by describing an incident where a man born of an Israelite woman and an Egyptian man fight with another man born of two Israelite parents. The half-Israelite blasphemes God's name in the course of the fight. God tells Moses that the man is to be stoned to death as punishment. So Moses tells the Israelites the penalty for blaspheming God or pronouncing God's name, and also explains the rules by which restitution is made for crimes such as murder and the maiming of others. Evan will be reading from chapter 21 of Leviticus, chapter 21, verses 16 through chapter 22, verse 3. It is a section that disqualifies Levites with physical abnormalities from offering sacrifices in the tent of meeting or temple, and Evan will explain to us his interpretation of what that is all about. And so now, as I call Evan up to be our Ba'al Kriya, our Torah reader, it's my pleasure to call upon friends of the family, Doron Avizov, Susan, and Allison Epner, for our first Aliyah.
Baruchu et Adonai Hamvorach.
Hamvorach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch atah Adonai le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher bahar banu mikol ha'amim. V'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Vayadaber Adonai el Moshe, mor daber el Aharon, mor ish darcha, v'rotam asher yeh, bo lo rav hak lechem Elohav, yichol asher bo lo rav ish ger, of de'ach o charum o sarua. The Eternal One spoke further to Moses, speak to Aaron and say, no man of your offspring throughout the age who has a defect shall be qualified to offer the food of God. No one at all who has a defect shall be qualified. No man who is blind or lame or who has a limb too short or too long.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher natan lanu Torah emet. V'chayei olam atah b'tzeinu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
For our second Aliyah, we are using technology to its best, and we have Evan's aunt and uncle and family, Tammy and Stephen Dreyfus, and family on Zoom with us. You can't see them, but you can hear them, and they have been watching and participating via live.
Whenever you're ready.
Okay.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach le'olam va'ed.
Asher bahar banu mikol ha'amim. Et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai haTorah.
Amen. O ish asher yeh, bo shever ragel, o shever yad, o giben, o dak tavolul be'eno, o garav, o yalefet, o meroach, ashech kol ish asher, bo zera haron hakohin, lo yigash l'hakiv, et she Adonai, bo et Elohav, lo yigash l'hakiv.
Wait, hold on 1 second.
No man who has a broken leg or a broken arm, or who is a hunchback or a dwarf, who has a girth in his eye, or who has a boil scar, scurvy or crushed testes, no man among the offspring of Aaron, who has a defect, shall be qualified to offer the Eternal's offering by fire. Having a defect, shall not be qualified to offer to God. You may eat of the food of God, most holy as well as of
Baruch atah asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam nanu. Baruch atah Adonai noten Torah.
Amen.
Yeah. For our third aliyah, we call upon Evan's mother, Allison, to join him.
Baruch et Adonai Hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai.
Hamvorach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Lechem Elohav Kodshei HaKodashim Min HaKodash Yochel Ach El HaParuchet Lo Yavo Be'el HaMizbeach Lo Yigash Bo Velo Yechalel Et Kodshei Adonai Mekadjam Vayadaber Moshe El Aharon Be'el Banav Be'el Kol B'nei Israel. But he shall not enter behind the curtain or near the altar, for he has a shall not profane these places. For I, the Eternal, have sanctified thee. Thus Moses spoke to Aaron and his son.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam natat b'chinu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
We reserve our final aliyah for, our bar mitzvah. Ta'amod Ephraim ben Or ben Tovia ve'Orliafa la'aliyah l'Torah.
Baruch et Adonai Hamvorach. Baruch Adonai Hamvorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et to atah Adonai noten haTorah. Vayadaber Adonai El Moshe Mordaber El Aharon El Banav Nazir Shei B'nei Israel Velo Chalelu Et Shem Kodesh Maknai More of them Lem Kol Asher Yigrav Ozarachem El HaKodashim Asher Yach Israel LeAdonai So Love Ta Nefesh HaYelkanai Yad. Eternal One spoke to Moses, saying, instruct Aaron and his sons about the sacred donation, lest they profane my holy name. I am the Eternal. Throughout the age, any man among your offspring on a state of impurity partake of any sacred donation, that the delightful conscience that person shall be cut off from before me. I am. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam natan b'tenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. This concludes the reading of Torah this morning. I call upon Evan's brother Mickey to lift our Torah high, to serve as our Hagbah, and to bless our Torah, his mother Allison, with a little help from Evan. And we rise in honor of the Torah. Sota Torah Asher Samosha Lifnei Bnei Yisrael Al Pi Adonai V'yad Moshe Yalalai lai 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 yalalai lai lai yalalai lai 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 yalalai lai yalalai lai lai yalalai lai lai lai.
My Torah.
Just stop us so that everyone's going to get comfortable so they can hear your wise words, right?
Yeah.
Okay, you may be seated.
My Torah portion and more begins with Moses telling the priests they have to be very particular about the laws. Then Moses tells the Jewish people about the holidays and how God forbids them to work. A fight occurs and a man used God's name in a bad way. So God then tells Moses to stone the man to death. The last part of my Torah portion is when Moses tells the people of the consequences of hurting people physically. Today I read about the particular laws that priests have to follow. I think this section is confusing because it's about how God said we have to follow the rules in order to be holy. It's confusing because I don't follow all of the rules. Does that mean I'm not holy? I follow the rules that are meaningful, like going to Shabbat services and respecting my family. By following these laws, I feel that I am connecting with God. Other part in what I read about today that was impactful to me was that the priests are not supposed to have any blemishes on them, which means they can't have any imperfection. This part is confusing also because my mom always says no one is perfect, make them unique. How would someone be perfect if everyone is unique? I don't understand what Torah considers perfect. The commentator Maimonides, one of the most prolific and influential Torah scholars of the Middle Ages, answered my question by explaining that it's not about their physical appearance, but the meaning behind their actions. I agree with Maimonides because it's not about someone's defect, but about what they can do even with those, not letting them get. Of course, they're not weird, they're just different and that's good, or how they would contribute to the world and proving everyone who doubted them wrong. But really, my point is, it's not about how or what they do physically, but the meaning or effort behind it. This relates to a man everyone knows as successful, and guess what? Has a He's none other than Sylvester Stallone, born with paralysis on the left side of his face. Yep, Sylvester Stallone, the man who wrote and was the star of several movie titles like Rocky, Rambo, and their series. This shows how even if you have a defect, you can still make something happen to be a successful person. Becoming a bar mitzvah is important to me because I'm now a part of a bigger group, and I can make changes in ways I couldn't do as. Of course, also helping my family in more enriching ways. Babysitting, taking care of my dog, teaching my future kids Torah, earning money helping animals as a veterinarian. Going through this bar mitzvah process empowered me to make a difference with taking on causes that are important to me and being an adult in the eye of the Torah, so I can continue to help my community with mitzvot and kindness. For my bar mitzvah project, I'm doing a fundraiser provide food for people who have lost their jobs during these hard times and need to feed their families during the. My goal is to reach $1,000 to donate to the San Antonio Food Bank. If you would like to participate with me on my journey of Tikkun Olam, preparing the world, please go to my.safoodbank.org/Evan, or let me know and I will send you. This mitzvah project is important to me because I feel that every person should have food and not So I, with defects, like wearing glasses because I do not have perfect vision, braces on my teeth, being holy Olam repairing the world. I would like to thank my mom for guiding me, even if I didn't want her to, and my brother for loving me. I would also want to thank Rabbi Jurgen, Rabbi Nathan, Cantor Berlin, and Hagit, and my teachers for preparing me. Of course, thank you to all my friends and family for being there for me, especially my pug Alex. Thank you to everyone who took time to come to my bar mitzvah, in person or virtually. Shabbat Shalom.
Boy. My love, I am so proud of you. Love your heart. Hey, did it. All that studying. I've watched you grow, her work diligently over the past year, not just once, but twice for this bar mitzvah due to COVID. And honey, today you led all of us in a beautiful, beautiful Shabbat service. And you shared wisdom and love of God. You connected generations, that you wore talit today, both the one from your grandfather, on the one for yourself that your aunt bought you, that you're sharing with your brother today. I am sure it will sit on the shoulders of your children and your children. I am so proud of what you've accomplished, not only for the love of Torah and learning Hebrew over the years that you did both here and at Jewish Day School, but also for your care, your love, dedication to your own sense of self, and to your family, your friends, and of course, your favorite little pug, Alex. Before my prayer to you, honey, I would like to thank everybody, near and far, for joining us today in this long-awaited occasion. And now for you, Evan. I pray that you grow from obstacles and appreciate blessings, that you always strive to be the best version of yourself, and that you have the courage to live your dreams and know when to change course, that you have the wisdom to both seek knowledge and to make your own choices, that you have the confidence to believe in yourself and not afraid to be authentic, that you judge yourself and others with compassion as well as understanding. May God always watch over you, and may you always seek. May you always see through distractions and focus on what matters. May you always find your strength, courage, and creativity to thrive as a positive. May your days ahead be plentiful and your journey in life be full of exploration, be filled with happiness, and may your life everlasting. Mazel.
At this time, we rise as we return Torah to our ark. Excuse me. And I invite Evan's brother Mickey to attend to our
Etz Chaim ki lemachazikim ba v'tomcha meushar derachecha darchei noam v'chol netivatecha may be seated. Except for you, Evan. Come on over. How you doing? Doing good. He's doing good. You should be doing great. That smile, it's like goes all the way up into your eyes because I would imagine there's some relief, yeah? But I hope mixed in with that relief is just so much pride in yourself for having done a really beautiful job in leading worship and sharing Torah. And as your mom said, just growing and maturing right before our eyes in such a wonderful way. You picked probably the hardest part of your Torah portion to focus on, which is this idea that God says, if you're not perfect, whatever that means, right? Then you're not allowed to offer sacrifices in the temple or the tabernacle, and then goes on in, I would say, embarrassingly excruciating detail to explain what those defects that might stop you from doing that, what those might be, right? So not you have to be more than your average strength of character bar mitzvah to say, I'm going to talk about that stuff. I'm going to read that stuff, right? And you didn't even flinch. You felt like this piece of Torah, even though it's a difficult piece of Torah, was one we needed to talk about, right? So the question of why God would say, if you're not perfect, you can't offer sacrifices, it's not an easy question to answer. And I like Maimonides' idea that the perfection is what is inside us that counts, but we can't ignore the superficiality of the text, right? That says if you have a limp or you have a sty in your eye or you have a this or that can't be there. So my takeaway, which I'm going to share with you because I think you're going to appreciate it, is that Torah is a living document. We see it from the beginning of Genesis all the way through Deuteronomy, that what the people needed and what God felt needed to be done back then is not necessarily what we as Jews in the 21st century understand perfection or holiness to be, right? Back then, and I've read commentaries that said it's not that God needed them to be physically perfect, but God understood that people are shallow and superficial. Have you ever met a person who is shallow or superficial? Me too, right? And so when we look and we think, well, what's holy, what's perfect, what's beautiful, we need people to be physically perfect on the outside. Kind of why people get so excited about movie stars, right, or models, because when we see that beauty, we're drawn to it. So God thought, we better make sure that people who are offering the sacrifices are pure and beautiful to represent the beauty and the purity of the sacrifice. But later on, we see as the rabbis interpret, remember we did that chain of tradition, I said the rabbis found modern meaning in the text, right? We have the space to say what Maimonides said, which is our physical appearance, it's nice. And by the way, you look very nice in your tuxedo, right? But if what's inside isn't holy and pure, not perfect, but holy and pure, then any kind of offering isn't really going to be accepted, right? So you standing here today, offering up your heart and your teaching and your avodah, your worship, your holy work, it inspires us because it is holy and pure. And like you said, quoting your very wise mom, right? None of us is perfect, and it's our imperfections that actually makes us unique and special and wonderful. So I hope in your life, you not only continue to embrace your own imperfections, right? A lifetime of something we all work on, but also to continue to be a generous, kind person who accepts other people for their imperfections, finding what's amazing and beautiful and loving about them, and keeping them as part of your life. You have a sweet soul, a goodness about you in the way that you deal with other people. And I hope that you maintain that kindness and that goodness in your life. That way you get to take this Torah portion to heart. Not what it said necessarily in the text of Amor back then, but to understand that everyone and every tradition has the power to evolve and see people not for what they look like on the outside, but for who they are and what they do as well. This is a great moment of blessing. I'm so proud of you, watching you be so totally present in this moment. It really is exciting. And I know your mom, your brother, so proud of you and so sharing and blessing in this moment. So we're going to share with you the priestly benediction, the oldest blessing we know. Come and join me up at the Ark with your mom and Rabbi Urian. I'm going to ask those of you who are here with us in the sanctuary to please rise. Yevarechecha Adonai ve'yishmerecha.
May God bless you and keep you.
Yaher Adonai panav elecha v'chunecha.
May God deal kindly with you and be gracious unto you.
Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. Shalom. May God's radiant presence shine upon you, Evan. Grant you life's choicest blessings of health, wholeness, happiness, lots of family love, and amen.
You may be seated. So at this point, I get to give you some gifts. I'm going to arrange things here. Grab everything. So we talked about it last night. Was this the fastest B'nai Mitzvah service you've ever been to? Yes. Okay. So I figured, and it feels like it goes by in an instant, and we give you the certificate so that you remember it for sure happened, besides, going on the live stream and looking later, like, oh yeah, definitely happened. I got it. Here it is. We also give you a gift certificate from North American Federation of Temple Youth to help get you on a trip to Israel. And when you complete confirmation, we at Temple Beth-El will match that to help get you on that trip. From Sisterhood, we give you this Tanakh so that you can continue your studies. I know you're going to read this every night, right? Yeah, totally. Right? Okay, so this is for your future study. It doesn't have to be an every night thing. I don't even read it every night, right? So for you to take that with you and bring that as you continue in your Jewish journey into adulthood even more. From Brotherhood, we give you these candlesticks and this Kiddush cup so that you can bring these traditions, remembering this day when you celebrate Shabbat home. And the cool thing about these candlesticks is that they are travel, so you can bring them with you wherever you might. And then from Yachad, our religious school parents group, give you the tzedakah box. And I know when we first met, way long time ago, to talk about a mitzvah project, we had a bunch of different ideas of what to do and who you could help. And while the San Antonio Bank is really important to you to help get to that $1,000, know that you'll use this tzedakah box. And I also know that you will help pets in whatever way and animals in whatever way you can, because that is near and dear to your heart. So I know you will put the tzedakah box to great. So with all of these presents, these gifts, and the way that we have gotten to this point today, we turn now to the concluding portion of our worship service. Aleinu is on page 183. I invite Mickey to help open the ark, and I invite all of you to please rise.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon ha'chol, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שהוא שם חלקנו יחד את שמו, וגור עלינו להמליך מלכותו. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו
You may be seated. We turn to our memorial meditation on page 291. It is hard to sing of oneness when the world is not complete, when those who once brought wholeness to our life have gone, naught but memory can fill the emptiness their passing leaves behind. But memory can tell us only what we were, in company with those we love, cannot help us find what each of us alone must now become, yet no one is really alone. Those who live no more echo still within our thoughts and words. What they did is part what we have become. We do best homage to our dead when we live our lives more fully, even in the shadow of our loss. For each of our lives is the worth of the life of the whole world, and each one is the breath of the ultimate one. In affirming the one, we affirm the worth of each one whose life, now ended, brought us closer to the source of life, whose unity no one is alone, and every life finds purpose. Our thoughts turn now to those in our community who have died at this time in years past. As we mark their yard sites, we remember them. Henry Alterman, Aida Arriaga, Ben Benson, Emil Bluestein, Isaac Bodenheimer, Shirley Brown, Edward Briscoe, Robert Dan, George Delavan Jr., Pauline Frank Deutsch, Jane Stern Drieben, Lillian Dubb, Shirley Fisher, Meyer Frank, Rosalind Roz Garland Gordon Gates, Jose Garcia, Bess Golden, Jose Gonzalez, Meyer Michael Gordon, Rosalind Sandra Gordon, Stanley Hammer Jr., Irving H. Buddy Harris, Bobby Jackson, Esther Wright Cantor, Francis Kaplan, Nathan Kaufman, Joyce Kaufman, Bruce Koppelman, Michelle Curry, Michael Kurtzman, Arthur Landsman, Linda Faye Levy, Janet March, Cecilia Messick, Charles L. Meyer, Jacob Mitchell Meyerson, Nathaniel Montville, Donald Muir, Demetrio Nicoluscu, Dr. Richard Plum, John Popke, Lenore Rubin, Charles O. Sines, Diane Sterling, Mary Ellen Weber, Nathan M. Welch, Greta Wender, Mon Ku Wu, Saw Young Wu, Harry Yellen, and Paul P. Zimmerman. To these names, we add those who died this past month, whose families are in a mourning period of Shloshim. Remember Arthur Gerwitz, Lisa Starr Rosenstein, and Rabbi Morley T. Feinstein. We also think of one who died this past week. Family is in a mourning period of Shiva. Remember Sabra Landy, cousin of Dr. Jill and Tabarak Vexler, David Vexler, Jack and Betty Vexler, and Jeff and Catherine Vexler. At this sacred hour, Evan's family particularly remembers Barbara Flom, Milton Flom, Eva Flom, Sua Suk Sam Lane, and Fanny Meissner. With all of these names and those which are in our hearts each and every day, we join together on page 294 with Kaddish Yatom. I invite you to rise. Yitzgadal v'yitzkadash shemei rabba, ve'alma divrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayachon u'vyomechon chayed chol beit Yisrael, agala u'vizman kariv, imru, amen. Yehi shmei rabba mevarach le'olam ulmei almaya, v'yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei d'kudasha b'richu, La'ela mikol berchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, da'amiran ba'alma v'imru, amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, imru, amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, imru, amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us and to all Israel, to which we say, amen. As we turn to page 322 for our closing song of Ein Keloheinu, I invite Allison, Mickey, and Evan to join us on the side, prepare for Kiddush and Mot.
Ein Keloheinu, Ein Keloheinu. Moshienu, Nodel Eloheinu, Nodel Adonenu, Nodel Malkeinu, Nodel Moshienu, Baruch Eloheinu, Baruch Adonenu, Baruch Malkeinu, Baruch Moshienu, Atahu Eloheinu, Atahu Adonenu, Atahu Malkeinu, Atahu Moshienu.
Adonai, Olam.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotech haaretz.
Amen. Zehayom asa Adonai nagila v'nismechavo. This is the day that God has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. Shabbat shalom.